So let's start again from zero. So in last class, guys, in solution thermo, we discussed about the partial molar properties, thermodynamic property relations, chemical potential, Gibbs free energy, base equation of solution thermodynamics, and the fugacity of pure gases, pure liquids, and pure solids. Now today we are going to start our discussion from fugacity in solutions. Okay, the fugacity in solutions. So one thing should be clear to all of you, that solution means homogeneous mixture. That is a one phase mixture. And all of us know that homogeneous mixture may exist in liquid phase or in gas phase. Okay, it can't be in solid phase because all solids are completely immiscible. So that thing should be clear to all of you, that solution means homogeneous mixture and that can exist in liquid phase or in gas phase. So if here I am talking about the solutions, so we have to read the complete statement whether to check that is the gas phase or that is a liquid phase. Okay, anyways. So what is the meaning of fugacity in solutions? Let's understand that. Okay. So I hope from the last class it is clear to all of you what is fugacity. So if I talk about pure component I, suppose any pure component I, so only ith component molecules are present in that system, in the container, and let's say that is a real gas. So obviously whatever momentum it will exert on the container wall, after overcoming its intermolecular attraction forces, that is what we can say the effective pressure or the fugacity. Okay, since we are talking about the pure component I, so I can also denote this fugacity by Fi. I can also denote this by Fi. Obviously there is some intermolecular attraction forces, based on that we are getting the effective pressure. Now suppose if I talk about component I in any solution. Okay, let's say the gas mixture is there. So all the ith molecules are there. Other than that, there are molecules of other components. Let's say any molecule B, any molecule K, any molecule J, like that. Okay. So we are having different type of molecules, as you can see here. Okay, as you can see, different type of molecules are there. Okay, so in this case, now just try to understand, when we were having the pure I, so there were some intermolecular attraction forces, and based on that we were getting some effective pressure, which is called the fugacity, and or we can say the fugacity of component I in pure form. So Fi means fugacity of component I in pure form. But here we have other components as well. So obviously the intermolecular attraction forces acting on the molecules, intermolecular attraction forces or repulsion forces acting on molecules I will be different as compared to this. So here the if I just measure the component I only, I am not interested in any other molecule, I am just interested in molecule I, component I. So here component I has similar type of interaction because only ith molecules are there. Here we have B, C, D molecules also. So the molecular interaction will be different than this. So the momentum exerted by ith molecules on the container wall, momentum exerted by the ith molecules on the container wall, then this will be different. So obviously here the effective force exerted by ith molecules will be different. So in this case, the fugacity of component I we can represent by Fi cap, and that is what? That is the fugacity of component I in solution. That is Fi cap, and it is obvious, as you can see, that Fi cap and Fi will be different since the molecular interactions are different. Here we have similar type of molecules, so whatever interaction is there, this molecule will face similar type of interaction from every side. Okay. But here in this case, when the component I is present in a solution, it will face different type of interactions because different type of molecules are there. So that's why the effective force exerted by ith molecules here per unit normal area will be different, or we can say the effective pressure here will be different, or which we can say the fugacity of I in solution, that is Fi cap. Okay, so this thing should be clear to all of you that Fi cap and Fi will be different. Okay, now here one interesting thing that should be clear to all of you, like in this solution, if xi tends to 1, suppose I have added component I have removed all other components except I. Okay, to make it concentrated in terms of component I. Okay, means if you remove all the other components, for example, what will happen? If you remove all the other components, then only ith molecules will remain inside the container. And in that case, since only ith molecules are there, so the fugacity of component I in solution, that is Fi cap, will be same as Fi. So that should be clear to all of you. That's not a big deal. Okay. Since it is a quick revision class, so obviously we will not go in much details of all the topics and all the terms. I will just explain the brief idea. Okay, so that you will be able to explain, you will be able to understand what is the term and what is the meaning and significance of that term. So now next, if this is an ideal solution, here you should know that if this is an ideal solution, then what will happen? If this is an ideal solution, then irrespective of the composition, whatever composition is there, we don't care. But Fi cap and Fi will be same. Fi cap and Fi will be same. Now why? That let's understand. So for that we have to understand what is ideal solution. Okay. So ideal solution is the one where partial molar volume of any component, partial molar volume of any component. I'm not talking about the partial molar property, remember, I'm talking about partial molar volume. So partial molar volume of any component will be same as its molar volume. Okay, that is Vi bar is equal to Vi. Okay, simple. And why it is so? See, it's very simple to understand. For pure component I, from ideal gas law, we know that for pure component I, at constant temperature and pressure, at constant temperature and pressure, P Vi is equal to RT. So that is for 1 mole. Okay, so molar volume of pure component I will be RT over P. I hope you understand this. Okay, similarly for any mixture, for any gaseous mixture, suppose we have. Okay, so at constant temperature and pressure, what will be the equation? Equation will be P, total volume of the mixture, total moles of the mixture, R and T. N represents the total moles of the mixture. So if you differentiate this equation by Ni, okay, it will become dVT over dNi is equal to RT over P. See, P, T, R, all these three are constant, and dN over dNi will be 1, obviously. Okay. And what is RT over P? RT over P is same as Vi. We have just seen that. And here if you see change in total volume of the mixture with respect to change in moles of I, constant temperature and pressure is what? That is, we can say the partial molar volume of component I, according to the definition. So here you can see that partial molar volume and molar volume of component I will be same for ideal solutions. So that's why we are writing like this. Okay, and if you remember the discussion which we had during the partial molar properties, then we said that the partial molar properties and molar properties are different due to molecular interaction. Okay. Like if you remember the example which I said, 1 mole H2O have the molar volume of 18 cubic centimeter. When it enters in ethanol, the volume reduces to 14. Okay, why? Because of the difference in molecular interaction. So here I am saying that partial molar volume and molar volume are same. So it means the all molecules have same interaction. All molecules have same interaction. And why molecular interaction was different? Because of the physical characteristics of the component. So you can say, since all molecules have same same interaction, that means all molecules have same physical characteristics. Okay, and since all molecules have almost same interaction, means the interaction in pure I and interaction in solution will be same. So Fi cap will be equal to Fi as well. So Fi cap will be equal to Fi as well for ideal solution. Okay, so this is the fugacity in solution and the notations which we use. Okay, and one more thing should be clear to all of you. Like when we talk about the gaseous mixture, we use a term partial pressure. Okay, we use a term partial pressure. Why? Because here, if I talk about component I, if this is an ideal solution, so it will have some partial pressure Pi bar. Okay, so why I am using the term partial pressure and this term, this notation bar here? Because this partial pressure is the contribution in the total pressure of the system. This partial pressure is the contribution in the total pressure of the system. That's why I am using the term bar. But when I talk about the fugacity, I don't use the notation bar here. No. Instead of that, I am using the notation Fi cap. Okay, I am not using Fi bar. That is absolutely incorrect. Why? Because bar I can't use, because this is not the partial fugacity. Why? Because this Fi cap is not the contribution in total fugacity of the solution. Okay, when we talk about the solutions, we talk about the fugacity of individual component. Okay, we don't talk about the total fugacity of the mixture, because fugacity is not that thing that we can relate for the entire mixture here. Okay, because fugacity is the effective pressure. What is effective pressure? That you have understood, I hope. Okay, so for total pressure we can talk about that, because that is the total momentum exerted by the molecules. But when we talk about the fugacity, different molecules have different interaction, and obviously they will exert different momentum on the container walls in different directions. So obviously we can't talk about the total fugacity as such. Okay, there are numerous other reasons as well, but that is one of the simple reasons to understand. So that's why we don't use the term Fi bar, we use Fi cap only. Anyways, so this is about the fugacity in solution. Now let's move to the next part. So according to your syllabus, in your syllabus we have fugacity in ideal solutions only. So fugacity in ideal solution you can calculate based on numerous correlations, and the most common of them is Lewis-Randall rule. According to Lewis-Randall rule, the fugacity of component I in any solution is directly proportional to the molar composition of the component at constant temperature and pressure. According to Lewis-Randall rule, the fugacity of component I in ideal solution is directly proportional to its molar composition. And when you remove this proportionality sign, so you can write it as Fi cap is equal to Xi into Fi. Where Fi cap is the fugacity of I in ideal solution, Fi is the fugacity of I in pure form. Okay. And validity. See, Lewis-Randall rule is applicable at low pressure. As you must have heard that all gases behave ideally at low pressure. Second, we know that if solution is ideal, then Fi cap and Fi has to be same. And here mathematically you can see that if Xi tends to 1, only then this Fi cap over Fi will be 1. Okay, so it means if this is an ideal solution, then it has to be the concentrated one. That is the concentrated solution. Okay. And other points, if you want to add, you can write for ideal solution. Okay, that is obvious that this is valid for ideal solution. Ideal gaseous solution. Okay, and ideal gaseous solution, then you can further add some extra point that we have discussed in ideal solution, like all molecules have same interaction, all molecules have same physical characteristics, blah blah blah. So this is Lewis Randall rule. Okay, next is, this is about the gaseous solution. If I want to deal with liquid solution, then for ideal liquid solution, then what I have to do? So see, if I want to deal with ideal liquid solution, so first rule is Raoult's law. Okay, and Raoult's law is nothing but just the extended version of the Lewis Randall rule. Okay, Lewis Randall rule is for gaseous solutions, Raoult's law is for liquid solution. So one thing should be clear in your mind, that as we discussed in last class, that if I am talking about the fugacity of liquid, then that liquid must be in equilibrium with its vapor. So similarly, if I am talking about the liquid solution, then though that liquid should be in equilibrium with its vapor. Okay, so there is a notation which should be clear in your mind. Like if I talk about fugacity for pure I, see, for pure I, the fugacity is can be denoted by Fi. Fugacity coefficient can be denoted by phi I, which is the ratio of fugacity to the pressure. Since only one component is there, so you can write Pi or you can write total pressure P. Both are same. If I am talking about component I in solution, then I will denote the fugacity by the notation Fi cap. Similarly, fugacity I can denote as fugacity coefficient of component I in solution, that is phi I cap. And what is phi I cap? Phi I cap is the fugacity of component I in solution to the pressure of component I in solution. And we know that pressure of component I in solution means its partial pressure. Okay, and one more thing, we know that for ideal solution, fugacity coefficient is always 1. So if this solution is ideal, then phi I cap has to be 1. That means Fi cap is equal to Pi bar. So Raoult's law means at VLE, from Lewis Randall rule, if you see, Fi cap, fugacity of I in solution, will be same as its partial pressure. That we have discussed already, is equal to Xi multiplied by Fi. That is the fugacity of component I in pure form. And which component we are dealing with? We are dealing with liquid solutions. Okay, so fugacity of liquid I is what? See, since this Raoult's law is also coming from the Lewis Randall rule, so when we will talk about its validity, so all the points which were applicable there are we have to include here in this Raoult's law as well. Like Lewis Randall rule was applicable at low pressure, so Raoult's law will also be applicable at low pressure. Okay, and since pressure is low and I am dealing with liquid, then vapor pressure has to be less than the total pressure. Okay, I can't take the vapor pressure same as the system pressure or more than that, otherwise it will become vapor only. Okay, so if I am dealing with liquid, so vapor pressure has to be less than the system pressure, and if the vapor pressure is less than the system pressure is low, so that means vapor pressure has to be low as well. And if vapor pressure is low, then we have discussed that as well in fugacity of liquid. For low vapor pressure, the fugacity of component in liquid form and its vapor pressure will be same, means Fi will be same as its vapor pressure. and that is Raoult's law, which you have used everywhere. Okay, and again here if you want to add some point, you can write in validity that it is applicable at low pressure for ideal liquid solutions, at VLE for concentrated one, etc., etc. Okay, so this is something about the Raoult's law. This is when the liquid solution is concentrated. But what if liquid solution is diluted? Okay, I am at VLE, I am having ideal liquid solution, but that is diluted one. Okay, and obviously at low pressure. Then what? Okay, means according to Lewis-Randall rule, we know that Fi cap is directly proportional to Xi. If that is a diluted solution, then obviously I can't have Fi on the other side, because for ideal solution we know that Fi cap and Fi will be same, and if Fi cap and Fi is same here, then this Xi has to be 1, means concentrated solution. But since I am talking about the diluted solution, so obviously this Xi can't be 1, and when this Xi can't be 1, so these two values will not be equal. So it means I can't use Fi on the right hand side, then I have to use some other parameter, and I can say Ki. If you have studied mass transfer, then you must have used Hi here, but doesn't matter. Notations should be, meaning should be clear. Notations you can use anywhere, anything. Okay, you can use Ka, Kha, Ga as well here, doesn't matter. So here Ki is called Henry's law constant, and this is the Henry's law, guys. So here you can see that Henry's law, Raoult's law, both are coming from the Lewis-Randall rule only. Okay, so if someone asks you who is the father of Raoult's law and Henry's law, you can say Lewis-Randall rule. Although no one is going to ask you such silly question, but you can ask at least. Now here you can also understand this, all these three laws with a graph. According to Lewis-Randall rule, Fi cap is equal to Xi into Fi. So if you draw a curve between Fi cap versus Xi, then it has to be a straight line with the slope Fi for ideal solution. Okay, but if I talk about the actual solution, then for actual solution the curve is something like this. Where you can see that for actual solution, when the Xi is close to 1, the actual solution and ideal solution curve both are coinciding each other. That means this is the reason where actual solution is also showing the behavior like a ideal solution. So here we can say the Raoult's law is applicable. And similarly, in the earlier part of the curve as well, if you see, when Xi tends to 0, okay, when Xi tends to 0, you can see here, up to some extent, this actual solution curve is also following a straight line. Okay, so that means Henry's law is applicable here. Okay, so this is the meaning of all these three laws: Henry's law, Raoult's law, and Lewis-Rendell rule. I hope all these three things are clear to you, and you can understand that actual solution, when it is extremely diluted, it will follow the ideal law. That is the Lewis-Rendell rule, means Henry's law. Okay, why? Because up to some extent it is following a straight line, although the slope is not same as Fi, but ultimately it is following the straight line, means Fi cap is proportional to Xi, and that is what the Lewis-Rendell rule is. So Henry's law is applicable, and when the concentration is high, that Raoult's law will be applicable. Okay, so I hope this part is clear. Now next point here is the activity coefficient. What is activity coefficient? That we will discuss later on, but before that there is one thing which should be clear to all of you: how to use Raoult's law and Henry's law everywhere. Okay, so understand that what is Lewis-Rendell rule? Lewis-Rendell rule is Fi cap is equal to Xi into Fi. That is my Lewis-Rendell rule is for ideal solution. For ideal solution. Okay, but if I talk about a non-ideal solution, then it becomes Fi cap is equal to gamma I Xi into Fi. Okay, so what is Raoult's law and Henry's law? See, for non-ideal solutions we can also use Raoult's law and Henry's law, but in a different manner. Okay, see, we know that Fi cap is, what is Fi cap? Fi cap can be written as phi I cap into partial pressure. For non-ideal solution we can write it like that. That is gamma I Xi, and Fi can be written as PIV. Okay, so this is, you can say, the modified Raoult's law. It is not given in the literature that modified Raoult's law is something, but just for the understanding I am saying, okay, or the Raoult's law for non-ideal solution. Okay, anyways, I am saying that this is the modified Raoult's law, because for our convenience we can use anything. Okay, similarly if you talk about the Henry's law, so Henry's law, what was the Henry's law? It was Fi cap is equal to Xi Ki for ideal solution. Okay, so for non-ideal solution, on right hand side we will have gamma I Xi Ki, and Fi cap can be written as phi I cap into Pi bar. That is what you can say. That is what you can say, the modified Henry's law, or the Henry's law for non-ideal solutions. Okay, what is gamma I? That we will discuss later on, don't worry. So now how to use it? It's very simple, just understand. We have two phases, vapor and liquid, and only two possible scenarios are there. Okay, we have only two possible scenarios. Sorry, four possible scenarios with liquid and vapor we have. First, and obviously all things are at equilibrium. First scenario, when we have ideal liquid and ideal vapor. Second, when we have ideal liquid and non-ideal vapor. Third, when we have non-ideal liquid and ideal vapor. And fourth, when we have non-ideal liquid and non-ideal vapor. Okay. So what will happen? How to use these laws is simple. One thing should be clear in your mind here, this phi I cap, that is the fugacity coefficient of component I, is gas phase characteristic. Okay, it is a gas phase vapor phase characteristic and it is a function of temperature, pressure and gas phase composition. Okay, activity coefficient gamma I. Activity coefficient gamma I is liquid phase characteristic, so and it is a function of temperature, pressure and liquid phase composition only. Xi means liquid phase, Yi means gas phase composition. Okay, so that this thing should be clear to you. And for ideal solutions, phi I cap will be 1 as well as gamma I will be 1. Phi I cap will be 1 as well as gamma I will be 1. Okay, so that thing should be clear to you. Now, how to write the equations? See, for first case, when vapor and liquid both are ideal, the Raoult's law will be like Raoult's law. It will be like phi I cap will be 1, gamma I will be 1. So it will become Pi bar is equal to Xi into PIV. Okay. Similarly, Henry's law will become Pi bar is equal to Xi into Ki. Simple. For non-ideal vapor and non-ideal liquid, obviously fugacity coefficient and activity coefficient, none of them will be 1. So the Raoult's law will be like phi I cap into Pi bar is equal to gamma I into Xi into PIV. And Henry's law will be like phi I cap Pi bar is equal to gamma I, Xi and Ki. Third, if liquid is ideal but vapor is non-ideal, then Raoult's law will be phi I cap into Pi bar, that is equal to Xi into PIV. And Henry's law will be like phi I cap into Pi bar is equal to Xi into Ki. Since liquid is ideal, so gamma I will be 1. Here vapor is ideal, so phi I will be 1. So Raoult's law will be like Vi bar is equal to gamma I xi PIV. Henry's law be like Pi bar is equal to gamma I xi and Ki. These are the 4 different variants of all these Raoult's law, Henry's law and Lewis Central rule. Basically Raoult's law is itself is a form of Lewis Central rule only. Okay, Lewis Central rule is for gases and Raoult's law is for liquid. So they can ask you one question like, for a binary mixture, if component 1 is following the Raoult's law, that is a Lewis Central rule, then prove that component 2 will follow Henry's law. Okay, so this kind of question they can ask. So one thing should be clear in your mind. If we are writing this equation in terms of fugacity, so you can say Raoult's law or you can say Lewis Central rule, doesn't matter. But when you are writing that in terms of partial pressure and vapor pressure, then you have to use the term Raoult's law only. Then you can't say Lewis Central rule, because in Lewis Central rule that is only for the fugacity, not for the pressure. Okay. So Raoult's law को आप Lewis Central rule, Raoult's law दोनों बोल सकते हो, but Lewis Central rule को आप सिर्फ Lewis Central rule ही बोलोगे, उसे Raoult's law नहीं बोल सकते. ठीक है. Anyways, so that's how we are going to use all these 4 laws, thermodynamic laws. अब आपके जो एग्जाम में क्वेश्चन आते हैं ना, उसमें मोस्टली ये थर्ड केस होता है. फर्स्ट, सेकंड, थर्ड, फोर्थ, थर्ड केस, जहाँ पे लिक्विड के लिए आपको एक्टिविटी कोएफिशिएंट कैलकुलेट करने के लिए दिया आता है. नाउ अंडरस्टैंड हाउ कैन वी आइडेंटिफाई दैट गिवन लिक्विड, द गिवन क्वेश्चन, गिवन सॉल्यूशन इज आइडियल और नॉन आइडियल. सी सिंपल. In case of vapors, whether you have to find out where vapors are ideal or non-ideal, just see the question statement. If fugacity coefficient is given, okay, fugacity coefficient phi I cap is given, then definitely vapor will be non-ideal. Okay, or otherwise if they say vapor is non-ideal or non-ideal vapors or real vapors like that, then we will consider them as non-ideal vapors. Otherwise they will be ideal only. Okay, if fugacity coefficient is not mentioned and they haven't talked anything about the vapors, we will consider them as ideal vapors. For liquids, simple. If they are using activity coefficient, then it is non-ideal liquid. If they are not using activity coefficient, neither they are asking you to calculate activity coefficient, then that will be the ideal liquid. Okay, simple. And they have asked so many questions in last 20 years from this part only, Raoult's law, Henry's law and this. So let's do few of the questions from that, then we will move to the next part and we will try to understand activity coefficient and activity in a better way. Okay. Question number 1. $19 $24 $30 $35 $43 $55 64, 71, 79, 96, 104, 106, 114, 118, 124, So these are the few questions which they have asked in last 20 years based on this topic. Sorry. So in all these questions, I have selected these 4 questions, 79, 104, 114 and 118 to solve here. And all the other questions you can solve by yourself. If you find any difficulty in any of them, then we can discuss them later on, no problem. Okay, anyways. So here let's have a pause of 2-3 minutes. Think about these 4 questions by yourself, then we will solve them. Okay, we will discuss them. So now let's start our discussion about these numericals. So first question is 43. Like you can read, it is given that for a binary mixture of A and B at this temperature and pressure, which one of the following equilibrium state deviates from the ideality? Okay, this is Antoine equation given. So when you put T equal to 400 Kelvin here and solve, you will get saturation pressure of A. That will come out to be 0.5 atm, that you can solve easily. Okay, so here in 43 we have to check which of the following state deviates from the ideality. So we know that if any equation follows Raoult's law, it means that is the ideal solution. If it is not following Raoult's law, it is not ideal solution. So what is Raoult's law? Raoult's law is Pi bar is equal to Xi into PIV or Pi set, you can say, as vapor pressure is itself called saturation pressure if system is at saturation point. Okay, I hope you know that. And Pi bar can be written as Yi into total pressure What is total pressure here? Total pressure is 1 atm, that is given. So here you will get yi is equal to xi into EIV, that will be 0.5 atm. Okay, doesn't matter. Pi bar will also be equal to xi into 0.5. Okay, so here you can check for D, xa equal to 0.6, ya equal to 0.3. So it is following the Raoult's law. That is correct. B, xa equal to 0.5, pa equal to 0.25. That is also following Raoult's law. That is also correct. A is also correct. You can check. Only the option C is there, which is not following the Raoult's law. So C will be the correct answer here, because we have to identify the state which is not following Raoult's law. So C is not following the Raoult's law. So that's how you can solve it. It's very simple numerical. Okay, not a big deal. And this question was there for 2 marks. Okay, I hope it is clear to all of you. Okay, next we will talk about question number 104, 114 and 118 and 79. अभी भी टाइम लगेगा थोड़ी सी और प्रैक्टिस करने में इस वाले बोर्ड पे. ये लगा है कंट्रोल इसके. 79. This is the question, a very good question. This was there for 2 marks. We will discuss that later on. Don't worry. (104). Okay. A binary mixture of component 1, 2 forms an azeotrope at 130 degrees Celsius and x1 equal to 0.3. So I hope you know that for azeotrope xi equal to yi. So if x1 is 0.3, so y1 will also be 0.3. That means x2 will be equal to 0.7, that will be equal to y2. Okay, since that is an azeotrope. It is given that ln gamma 1 is equal to a x2 square and ln gamma 2 is equal to a x1 square. For both components, fugacity coefficient is given 0.9, means phi 1 cap and phi 2 cap both are given 0.9. Then it means vapor is non-ideal. Okay, see in last question 74, fugacity coefficient was not mentioned, so we considered vapor to be an ideal phase. Okay, but here it is mentioned, so vapor will be non-ideal. Okay, saturation pressures are given. For component 1 it is 70, for component 2 it is 30 bar. Okay, you have to find out the total pressure in the above azeotropic system. So we know that from Dalton's law, the total pressure of the system will be equal to the P1 bar plus P2 bar, the sum of partial pressure. Okay. But what is P1 bar and P2 bar here? So from modified Raoult's law, we will use the Raoult's law as phi 1 cap multiplied by P1 bar is equal to gamma 1 x1 P1V. Similarly, phi 2 cap will be equal, phi 2 cap into P2 bar is equal to gamma 2 x2 and P2V. So from here, when you put these values in the above equation, you will get total pressure as gamma 1 x1 P1V over phi 1 cap plus gamma 2 x2 P2V over phi 2 cap. Simple. Okay. So here, just put the values, you will get your answer. Simple. Now let's try to put the values. So here if you see, gamma x1 is given, P1V is given, x2 is given, P2V is given. Phi 1 cap, phi 2 cap is also given, but gamma 1, gamma 2 is unknown. Oh. No problem. We can calculate gamma 1, gamma 2 by using this expression as it is given. But here, A is unknown. Oh my God. Difficult now. No, it's very easy. You just need to look at the question, look at the equations and see how can you find out A. Okay, so by using this expression, And one more expression is there. For Raoult's law, we know that phi I cap into pi bar. Pi bar can be written as yi into total pressure is equal to gamma I xi piv. For isotropic mixture, gamma yi or xi will be same, so they will get cancelled, and you will get gamma I is equal to phi I cap into total pressure upon piv. Okay, here all these P is unknown, but these two values are given. So by using this relation, we have to calculate we have to solve this equation. Okay, so gamma 1 will become, if you put the value phi I cap 0.9, P unknown, P1 bar, P1V is 70. Similarly, gamma 2 you can calculate as 0.9 into total pressure over 30. If you take the ratio of these two values, gamma 1 upon gamma 2 will be 3/7. That's what only we can do here. Okay, now let's subtract this expression from this. So we know that ln A minus ln B can be written as ln A upon B. So it will become ln gamma 1 over gamma 2 is equal to A x2 square minus x1 square. Okay, now I think we got the clue. So ln gamma 1 upon gamma 2. What is gamma 1, gamma 2? That is 3/7. So put this value here. x2, x1 is given. You can calculate A. Okay, and then with the help of that A, again put that value A here. You will get gamma 1 and gamma 2. And then put that value of gamma 1, gamma 2 here in this expression. You will get total pressure. Okay, simple, done. And I hope you can solve this very easily now. Okay, I am not solving this because I hope you can do all these calculations by yourself. Let me tell you the answer for this is question number 104. The answer is 27.54 bar. Okay, so that's how we can solve question number 104. Simple question. Okay, the only key was how can you use the mathematical rearrangement of these equations to get the answer. Okay, that's it. Simple. Done. No problem. Next, 114 and 118. Okay, I hope it is clear. सर प्लीज डिस्कस क्वेश्चन नंबर 1 भी करना है क्या? कर लेंगे, नो प्रॉब्लम. So here in question 114, if you see, it is given sparingly, I don't care. A soluble gas is in equilibrium with a solvent at 10 bar. The mole fraction of the solvent in the gas phase is 0.01. At the operating temperature and pressure, the fugacity coefficient of the solute in gas phase. See here as well, fugacity coefficient is given. It means the gas phase, the vapor phase is non-ideal. Okay, if they haven't mentioned fugacity coefficient, so we will consider that as ideal vapor. Anyways, so here total pressure is 10 bar and mole fraction of solvent in gas phase is 0.01. Okay, so let's consider solute as component 1 and solvent as component 2. So Y2 is given 0.01 and total pressure is 1 atm or 1 bar, whatever it was. अच्छा 1 bar होगा, 1 bar था, 10 bar था, अब तो ये जा भी नहीं सकता नीचे. आई थिंक 10 bar ही था. 114 कहाँ है? 114 ये रहा. हाँ 10 bar. Total pressure was 10 bar. The fugacity coefficient in the gas phase and the Henry's law constant are given for the solute. Means phi 1 cap is given 0.92 and K1 is given 1000 bar. Okay. Assume that liquid phase obeys Henry's law. The mole percentage of solute. It is solute. No, actually it is solute, not solute. So it is one typing error. In the liquid phase, rounded off to the 2 decimal places. So x1 has you have to calculate. Okay, percentage x1 you have to calculate. So from Henry's law we know that phi I cap into pi bar is equal to xi into ki. See, nothing has given about activity coefficient, so we will consider the liquid phase to be the ideal phase. So phi I cap for component 1 we can say phi 1 cap into P1 bar can be written as Y1 into total pressure, that is equal to X1 into K1. So phi 1 cap is given 0.92, Y1 I don't know, Y2 is given 0.01, so Y1 will become 0.99. Total pressure is 10 bar. X1 you have to calculate, K1 is 1000 bar. So after solving this you will get x1. Okay, whatever the value is you will get that. Okay, and then you can calculate that into percentage. 0.92 multiplied by 0.99 multiplied by 10 divided by 1000. The value will be 0.0092. This is mole fraction, but we have to answer in percentage, so we can write it as 0.92%. Obviously, you don't need to mention percent, you just need to mention 0.92. Simple. That is your answer. 2 marks question, you will get 2 marks. Simple question. Okay. So all these in solution thermodynamics, every numerical is easy. Okay. You just need to know the meaning of each and every term and the equation. So just read the question. Use the appropriate equation, put the values and get your answer. Simple. This is solution thermodynamics. Very easy and scoring topic and subject in GATE exam. You can easily secure all 4-5 marks in GATE exam. Okay. Anyways. So I hope this is clear to you. 114. Next 118. For a binary non-ideal mixture having minimum boiling azeotrope, the activity coefficient will be It is easy to understand. Okay, that's not a big deal. We will see to it. और भी कोई है इसके बाद बस यही है 118. ठीक है. एक क्वेश्चन और है 117. I want you to solve this. See, it's very simple. Suppose I don't know solution thermodynamics. I haven't studied. I didn't get the time to revise solution thermodynamics or even study. But one thing is there which every one of you have, and that is common sense. Okay? I hope all of you have common sense. So based on that, with the help of common sense, in GATE exam you can easily solve 10 to 12 questions from any subject. Okay, every year if you see the GATE previous year papers, you will find that in every year there are at least 10-12 questions from any subject which you can solve just based on the common sense. Okay, that is the beauty, especially in chemical engineering. Okay, even if you don't know anything about the chemical engineering, but still you can solve 10-12 questions just by using common sense. So let's try to solve this question 117 based on that. So here G denotes the Gibbs energy, okay, binary mixture, and T denotes the total moles, blah blah blah. Mu1 is the chemical potential, okay. Now Mu1 is not equal to 0, okay, and mu1 is greater than mu2. Okay. The correct variation of G by Nt at constant temperature. See, this T is not temperature, this T in the power of N. Okay, like this. Oh, suffix of N. Nt, total moles. Okay. So, we have to identify out of these 4 equations, 4 curves, which one is correct. Okay. So, for just your help, let me write. This is mu1. This is mu2, this is mu2, and this is mu1. So obviously if this is mu1, this has to be mu2. If this is mu1, this has to be mu2. This is mu2, so this is mu1 and this is also mu1. Now it is given that mu1 is not equal to 0 and mu1 is greater than mu2. This condition is there. And on x-axis, if you see, everywhere we have x1. So common sense also suggests us that if x1 is 0, it means I have pure component 2. And if x1 is 1, that means I have pure component 1. Okay. Now, out of these 4 options, one is correct. So I have to identify which one. See what happens if we are not confident about any concept or any subject. Okay, then if you read this question, oh, solution thermodynamics gives free energy, I am not confident. So most of the people just leave this question. Okay, and actually they did. Most of the students left this numerical. Okay, but if you just try to use your common sense, okay, and have some patience, you can solve this kind of numericals easily. And obviously in other GATE exams, upcoming GATE exams as well, you will find such numericals, not from solution thermo, but maybe from any other subject. Okay, so even if we are not prepared in any topic, I will suggest to all of you that please, in GATE exam, read every numerical 2 times. Every question read 2 times before solving. Whether you know the topic or you don't know, doesn't matter, but read the question statement 2 times. And it will not waste your time. It will help you to understand the question and decide whether to go for it or not. Okay. Anyways, now let's see. Mu1 has to be greater than mu2, that is obvious. So it means option B is incorrect because mu1 is less than mu2. Not possible. For sure. Now we have A, B, and A, C and D. And in all these 3, mu1 is greater than mu2. Okay. Now, let's try to use the logic. In option A, one by one, huh? They are saying that at x1 equal to 0, mu2 is 0. Okay. At x1 equal to 0 means pure component 2. Means in the system I have only component 2, nothing else. And if I have only component 2 here, so the chemical potential of component 2 is 0. How is it possible in this world? मतलब समझ रहे हो, आप रूम में हो बट आपका अस्तित्व नहीं है, ऐसा थोड़ी होता है. If component 2 is there, so it will have some value for sure. It can't be 0, but they are saying it is 0, so obviously it is incorrect. Now C and D. Have you seen ghost? क्या आप लोगों ने भूत प्रेत देखे? आई होप नहीं देखे होंगे. अगर किसी ने देखे हैं तो अच्छी बात है, बट नॉर्मली लोग नहीं देख पाते. नॉर्मल लोग नहीं देखते, है ना. एंड वी आर द नॉर्मल पीपल, कॉमन पीपल, मैंगो पीपल. हम आम जनता है. सो नाउ लेट्स सी ऑप्शन सी हियर. x1 equal to 1 means pure 1. So chemical potential of 1 is something. Okay, no problem. x1 equal to 0 means pure 2. Chemical potential of 2 is something. Okay, no problem. यहाँ पे सब कुछ है, कुछ नहीं डिनाई करने के लिए, कुछ है ही नहीं रिजेक्ट करने के लिए इसे, तो ओके. नेक्स्ट डी. x1 equal to 0 means pure 1. If component 1 is pure, so we should have some value of mu 1. Yes, we have some value of mu 1. Okay. x1 equal to 1 means pure component 1. Here we have only pure component 2. Okay, sorry, my mistake. My mistake. Let's try to read option D once more time. x1 equal to 0 means pure 2. Pure 2 means only component 2 is there, no 1. So if component 2 is here, only component 2 is here, component 1 is not there. We don't have any component 1. So when we don't have any component 1, so how in this world we have the mu 1 value, not 0? Similarly, on other side, when we have pure component 1 means no component 2, so how in this world we have some value of mu 2? It means this is incorrect. Okay. Here जब इस पॉइंट पे जब कंपोनेंट 2 का अस्तित्व ही नहीं है, component 2 exists, does not exist at this point, then how in this freaking world mu 2 is not 0? Okay, so this is incorrect for sure. So only option C is the possible correct answer. 2 marks, free 2 marks. Whether you know solution thermo or not doesn't matter. And this was in year 2018. ज़्यादा पुराना भी नहीं है, अभी 2 साल पहले ही आया था. अब तो 3 हो गए, हो जाएंगे 3 साल हो जाएंगे 13 फरवरी को. So I hope this will help you to understand and solve the numericals. Now let's move to the question number 1. ऐसे भी जा सकते हैं, सही है, टाइम बचेगा. हाँ, क्वेश्चन नंबर 1. माय गॉड. This equation is given and this equation is given. We have to find out the Ki is a function of what? So from this expression you can see Ki is equal to Yi over Xi. Okay, no problem. So from this expression, if you try to write down this expression in terms of Yi over Xi, then you will get Ki is equal to gamma I Fi naught over phi I into total pressure. Okay. So one thing is obvious, Ki is the function of all these 4 variables. P is there, so obviously Ki is the function of pressure for sure. So A तो आंसर हो ही नहीं सकता, pressure तो है, definitely pressure is there. Gamma I, we know that gamma I is the function of temperature, pressure and liquid phase composition. Okay, so Ki will be the function of temperature, pressure and Xi for sure. Because if I change Xi, gamma I change, and gamma I changes, Ki will also change. If I change T, gamma I will change, and if gamma I changes, Ki will change. So one thing is obvious that Ki is the function of these 3 things: temperature, pressure and liquid phase composition. Okay, now let's understand whether it is the function of Yi or not. Okay, so for that we have to understand one thing. In this entire world, if you have studied mathematics, then mathematics suggests that there are only 3 types of variables: constant, independent and dependent. And dependent variables can be the function of independent variables only. Okay, any dependent variable can be the function of independent variables only. It can't be the function of constants. ठीक है, कोई भी वैल्यू इस दुनिया में इंडिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल, स्वतंत्र, अब वेरिएबल की नहीं पता, स्वतंत्र वेरिएबल्स का ही फंक्शन होता है, ठीक है। डिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल्स आर नॉट द फंक्शन ऑफ कांस्टेंट्स और डिपेंडेंट वेरिएबल्स देमसेल्फ। ये आपको क्लियर होना चाहिए दैट anything will depend on independent variable only, not on the dependent variable. Okay, so what is yi? Yi is not the independent variable, yi is the dependent variable. Okay, why? Because yi, if you have studied distillation, gas absorption or any other operation, then you must know that yi star is equal to m times of xi or something else, or you can write yi star equal to function of xi for any equilibrium relation at VLE. If you change xi only, then yi will change at constant temperature pressure. Forget about the temperature pressure. If you change xi only, then yi change. You can't change yi. Okay, for example, in distillation column, our feed has xi. Our feed does not have yi. Okay, feed has xi only, and based on that xi, we get some value of yi in the vapor phase. Okay, so you can't change yi directly, but you can change xi directly because that is the free variable, independent variable. So since yi is not an independent variable, so here I cannot say ki is the function of yi. So option C is the only correct answer. Simple. Okay, I hope it is clear to you, Bunty. So this is all about the fugacity in solutions and this part. Now let's talk about the activity and activity coefficient so that this topic we can complete and conclude. See, activity coefficient gamma I defined as the measure or the degree of deviation from the ideality. In my solution, what is the deviation from ideality that I can measure with the help of activity coefficient? Okay, like if you remember, for ideal solution from Lewis Randall rule, we have Fi cap is equal to Xi into Fi. This is the Lewis Randall rule for ideal solution. So if I talk about a non-ideal solution, so one thing is obvious that Fi cap will not be equal to Xi and Fi. Fi cap will not be equal to Xi into Fi for non-ideal solution because it is applicable only for ideal solution. Okay. So if I want to equate this expression, then I have to use some correction factor either in multiplication or in addition. Let's say I am using that in multiplication. Okay. So that is gamma I. So one thing is obvious here, for ideal solution gamma I will be 1. For ideal solution gamma I will be 1. And what is gamma I? This gamma I is called the activity coefficient, which is the measure of extent of the deviation from ideality for any solution. Okay. And if I talk about a binary solution, then you must know that how to use this gamma I relation. for binary mixture or binary solution, the equation will become like f1 cap is equal to gamma 1 x1 f1. For component 2 it will be f2 cap is equal to gamma 2 x2 and f2. Now see, okay, if x1 is equal to 1, if x1 is equal to 1, then if x1 is equal to 1, then one thing is obvious, that f1 cap will be equal to f1. Okay, and if f1 cap is equal to f1, that means gamma 1 will be 1. Means pure component 1 will be one ideal solution, will behave like an ideal solution. And similarly, if I have x2 tends to 1, that means f2 cap is equal to f2. So it will lead to gamma 2 tends to 1. It means pure component 2 will also act like an ideal solution. Okay, so if x1 tends to 1, it means concentrated solution, x2 tends to 1, that means diluted solution in component 1. Okay, so concentrated solution Raoult's law applicable, dilute solution means Henry's law applicable. Like this, you can understand this topic, this logic. Okay, so that is the activity coefficient which help us to measure the deviation from ideality. And you have to understand that gamma I, like here if you see in this equation, any of these three variables fi cap, xi, fi can't be negative. Everything has to be positive value. So gamma I will be positive always. Okay, so for non-ideal solutions, gamma I can be greater than 0 and less than 1, or it could be greater than 1 as well, but it will never be 1. Okay, 0 possible ही नहीं है, it can't be 0 at any cost, and it can't be 1 as well, because if gamma is 1, that is ideal solution. So it could be 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, something like that, or it could be 1.3, 7, 8, 9, 4.8, something like that as well. Okay, so that should be clear in your mind, that gamma I will be positive always, and it could be less than 1, it could be greater than 1, but it will never be 1 for ideal solution. Okay, so in general we can say gamma I will be greater than 1, greater than 0 always, greater than 0 only. Okay, so this is all about the activity coefficient. One more thing is there, how can we calculate the activity coefficient? So we can calculate the activity coefficient using Hol's equation, Morgul's equation, Van Laar's equation and all that stuff. Okay, so I'm not going to discuss any of all those three. I'm just saying here to discuss about the Van Laar model, because that is one important thing in your syllabus. Okay, and in Van Laar model as well, see, it is your choice whether you want to memorize those equations or not. Otherwise, even if you don't memorize them, it's okay. Absolutely perfect, no problem. Okay, because if you see the last 20-year papers in which they have talked about Van Laar model, so in 95% of the numericals they have mentioned the Van Laar model, the equations. Okay, only 5% means only one numerical was there in which it was not mentioned, but we didn't require that as well. Okay. For binary equation, binary solution, you can calculate the activity coefficient using Van Laar model, and it says that ln gamma 1 is equal to A times of Z2 square, and ln gamma 2 is equal to A times of Z1 square, where Z1 is equal to x1 over x1 plus x2 times of BYA, Z2 is equal to x2 over x2 plus x1 AYB. Okay, where A and B are the, यहाँ पे B आएगा, it will ln gamma 2 is equal to B Z1 square. where A and B are the Van Laar constant and independent of composition. A and B are the Van Laar constant and independent of composition. Okay. And if you use all these four equations, then you can rearrange them. If you use these four equations, then you can rearrange them to calculate the values of A and B. Suppose gamma 1, gamma 2, x1, x2 are given and you need to calculate A and B. Okay, then you can calculate A and B as A is equal to ln gamma 1 plus x2 ln gamma 2 over x1 ln gamma 1 whole square, and B is equal to ln gamma 2 1 plus x1 ln gamma 1 over x2 ln gamma 2 whole square. This is Van Laar model. Okay, so some of the other questions which I mentioned, you can solve them by using Van Laar model. Okay, but in all of them almost it was mentioned what is the Van Laar model, so no problem. How to use Van Laar model and how to solve the numericals? See, it's very easy. Okay, we will discuss question number 79 here. Okay, because based on that 79 is na? Yes, based on 79 you will understand how to use Van Laar model. Okay, so let's talk about the question number 79 from GATE previous year papers. So if you read 79, it is given that consider a binary mixture of methyl ethyl ketone and toluene. So they have said methyl ethylene ketone as component 1 and toluene as component 2. At 323 Kelvin, the activity coefficients of gamma 1 and gamma 2 are given as ln gamma 1 is equal to given x2 square times of psi 1 plus psi 2 minus 4 times of psi 1 into x1, psi 2 into x1. Psi 1 minus psi 2 plus 4 times of psi 2 x1. Ln gamma 2 is equal to x1 square psi 1 plus psi 2 minus 4 times of psi 2 into x2. इस मार्कर की ग्रिप बड़ी है इसलिए वो टच सेंसिटिव है, ऐसा हो रहा है. Psi 1, psi 2 are the parameters which are independent of composition. So you can consider that like psi 1, psi 2 are like A and B for Van Laar model. Okay, you can think like that. And here one thing is given that ln gamma 1 infinite and ln gamma 2 infinite. Ln gamma 1 infinite is 0.4 and ln gamma 2 infinite is 0.2. Vapor pressures are given for component 1 and 2. In kilopascals. Okay. Assuming that vapor phase is ideal, see here they have mentioned vapor is ideal. What will be the total pressure of a liquid mixture containing 90% toluene? 90% toluene means x2 equal to 0.9 and x1 equal to 0.1. Okay, I have to find out the equilibrium pressure for this solution. So what to do now? Just see, simple. To find out the total pressure, we know that is P1 bar plus P2 bar. And what is P1 bar? P1 bar is gamma 1 x1 P1V. P2 bar is gamma 2 x2 P2V. P1V, P2V given, x1, x2 is known, gamma 1, gamma 2 is unknown for this solution. As we know, gamma 1, gamma 2 is the function of composition, liquid phase composition. So I have to find out gamma 1, gamma 2 from here. But in this, psi 1, psi 2 are unknown. Like A and B are unknown in Benlar model. So what can I do? I can use this data. Okay. So here, if you see ln gamma 1 at infinite dilution is 0.4. It means x1 is tends to 0. x1 is very dilute. x1 is tends to 0, that means x2 is close to 1. Okay, so when you put this value here in this expression, you will get a relation between psi 1 and psi 2. So ln gamma 1 at infinite dilution is 0.4. x2 square means 1 square. Psi 1 minus psi 2. And this term will become 0. Similarly, ln gamma 2 at infinite dilution means component 2 is very small. So x2 tends to 0 and x1 close to 1. And when you put this value here, you will get a relation 0.2 is equal to psi 1 plus psi 2. So from by solving them, you will get psi 1 equal to minus of 0.3. Sorry, plus of 0.3, and psi 2 is equal to minus of 0.1. Okay, like when you subtract them, it will be 0.5, and when you add them, it will be 0.2. That is psi 1, psi 2. Put these two values here along with this x1 and x2, you will get gamma 1 and gamma 2. And when you put gamma 1, you will get gamma 1, gamma 2, put that value here and solve, you will get P is equal to approx 16 bar or kilopascal, whatever the units are. Answer is about 16. Okay, so this is a NET type question which was asked in year 2011. No, sorry, MCQ question था ये. Okay, in 2011 में पूछा था. So that's how we can solve this kind of numericals activity related to activity coefficient. I hope all these things are clear, okay, and easy to understand. This is a very simple topic: activity coefficient, Raoult's law, and Henry's law, Lewis and Henry. Now here the next point and last point is activity from this topic, this portion. Okay. So what is activity? That you have to understand that activity is denoted by small a, and if I talk about the pure component, it could be either liquid, solid or gas. Activity may be defined as the ratio of fugacity to the fugacity at standard state. It is defined as the ratio of fugacity to the fugacity at standard state. Okay, simple. And also known as relative fugacity. And if I talk about for any component I in solution, so you can define the fugacity as activity of component I in solution is denoted by AI. Okay, we will not use cap here, we will just use AI. That is the ratio of fugacity of component I in solution to the fugacity of component I at standard state. Now here one thing should be clear in all your mind, that there is a point called selection of standard state. Okay, and what is a standard state criteria? Then you should know that if I talk about vapor liquid equilibrium. If I talk about the vapor liquid equilibrium, I am just mentioning that in short. Okay, I am not explaining that here in this class. For explanation, you can watch my classes. Okay, for vapor liquid equilibrium, the fugacity of any component I at a standard state will be same as the fugacity of pure component I. Okay, at the given temperature pressure. And for chemical reaction equilibrium, the fugacity of component I at a standard state will be equal to 1 bar. So in this case, when you put AI, you will see that for first top for vapor liquid equilibrium, AI will become Fi cap over Fi, because Fi not equal to Fi. So AI will be Fi cap over Fi, and Fi cap over Fi is what? Fi cap over Fi is equal to gamma I into Xi, as we have seen in last part, activity coefficient. Okay, and if that is ideal solution, so AI will be equal to Xi, simple. And here, if you see, AI will be equal to Fi cap. And if what is Fi cap? We know that Fi cap is equal to phi I cap into Pi bar. So if that is an ideal solution, so AI will be equal to Pi bar. Okay, so here you can see that we are able to relate activity of component I in solution with its mole fraction as well as partial pressure. So that is the reason this activity in solution, when activity is in solution, it is also known as effective concentration. Okay guys, so this is all about the activity part which we should know, now the last two topics are remaining. One is chemical reaction equilibria and properties of solution. Okay, in which we will talk about the property change of mixing and excess properties. So we will not go in much detail, we will just discuss the equations and how to use them. Okay, and which type of question they can ask in GATE exam and which type of question they have already asked in GATE exam from those. So that we will discuss, but I think that is more than sufficient for now. So let's have a break for 20 minutes. It's 1:05 here. Okay, so let's meet at 1:30. So this is a lunch break, you can say. So see you at 1:30 and then we will discuss all those topics, and those remaining topics are the most important one. Whatever we have discussed till now, today, that is the important part, and now what we are going to discuss, that is also important. Okay, because in GATE previous year papers, if you see, most of the questions they have asked from today's lecture only, what we are going to discuss and what we have already discussed. So see you after 20 minutes. Tada.